54th Scoil Samhraidh Willie Clancy set to take place in Miltown Malbay in July this year. Planning is already well underway. A recent meeting at Miltown Malbay Town Hall focused on traffic arrangements for Willie Week, including possible changes to traffic flow and even the suggestion of extending arrangements over 2 weeks. Joining me now are two councillors who attended that meeting, the Fianna Fáil councillor Shane Talty from Ennistymon and the Lisdoonvarna Fine Gael councillor Joe Garrihy. And gents, thanks very much to both of you for being with us this morning. Shane, can you outline why this meeting was needed? Well, what sparked the discussions? Or traffic, does it tend to be an issue annually at the event?
Morning, Alan. I suppose it's a broader discussion than just traffic. Where it came from was, I suppose, everybody reflecting on the huge success of the 2025 Summer School and Festival, and I suppose the growth of it over the last 5 to 6 years in particular. And I think from a point of view of the Gardaí, the fire services, Clare County Council, and in particular, I think the business community and the residents of Miltown, I think there was a realisation that the continued growth required an enhanced level of management, I suppose. And over the winter months here, in fairness, a locally led group have come together and held a number of meetings before this, amongst, again, residents and business owners, to try to see what improvements around the management of the town. The town itself could be brought in or proposed for 2026 and onwards. I suppose it's a twin track system issue, I suppose, in that you have the Willie Clancy Summer School, which is massively successful in itself, and then you have what has become a kind of a street festival or a town festival that is growing beside that. That goes from the day into the night, and I suppose it's ensuring that patrons and visitors, when come to experience that brilliant festival, that they can do so in a safe and enjoyable manner. And I suppose that's the effort that's underway here, I suppose. And last week was that local group, I suppose, expanded the invitation out to include local councillors and Gardaí and fire council representatives as well. So I suppose bringing all those stakeholders to the table, trying to see what scheme of improvements could be proposed. And I think what the takeaway on the night, I suppose, is that it's going to have to be something, maybe gradual changes and improvements over the next number of years. Different proposals were spoke of, such as moving to a one-way street or not, or moving to take cars off the street. So I think the likes of the proposal to move to a one-way system was thought probably not to be feasible in the time frame that's available between now and this year, but it's something maybe that might come in the future years, whereas I think this year it's going to probably focus on having less maybe parking on the main street itself and more space for patrons and pedestrians to enjoy the music and the festivals around the town, and trying to improve the off-street parking offered in around the approach roads to the town.
Yeah, Joe, just to bring you in, do you agree with all of that for this July's event? More off-street parking, less parking on the main street, and that one-way system, direction of traffic flow. This year's event is just coming too soon to try and affect that kind of significant change.
Yeah, I would have, and good morning. We're building on extraordinary success here. The Willie Clancy Summer School is one of the finest exhibits of the celebration of our culture and music and tradition in West Clare. It's the biggest music festival of its kind in Munster. So crack agus ceol agus crowd control really is what we're talking about here, because building on this success is really important. Festivals now play a huge impact on the local economy, and where we have with the Willie Clancy Summer School is, as Shane said, we have the summer school that has intergenerational impact, brings people from all over the world. So we need to manage that. We need to guard its preciousness, and we also need to leverage and make sure that we control it. Fun is one of the most difficult things that you can organise, and to do it safely is what everybody is about here. There's great credit due to David Hillary, Tomas McKenna, John O'Malley, and local people who have taken the bull by the horns here, as Shane said, and have had a number of meetings. In advance of last week, before engaging with the four elected members and Clare County Council, the fire services. So I agree fully. What we have here, I think, is a massive opportunity to evolve something that has grown organically and been driven by people like Harry Hughes, the founders, Marisha Rocan, Seamus McMahona, and others who started the festival. And we have to be adults in the room and make sure that fun is managed safely and that everybody really enjoys it, and that the reputation that's evolving from the Willie Clancy Summer School, the brilliant reputation and the PR that's going out there worldwide for Clare and Ireland is managed well. The scale of the festival is that challenge, and I really welcome all the stakeholders coming together. It'll be locals cooperating with authorities. Clare Tourism have a big role, I think, in the future to play in this because of the importance of festivals, for all the reasons I outlined there. Like you're genuinely talking of multi-million income into the local and the wider Clare economy with this. And if you had to pay for the PR on this, you just couldn't. So we really have to realise how valuable it is, the product that we have. You don't want to demean it by calling it a product, because it is our culture and our music. So we need to manage that very carefully and very well to make sure it evolves.
Yeah, and that is an important point, Shane, isn't it? It's clear as the fact this meeting has happened is, some sort of traffic management is required. But as Joe says, it is all about culture and so on. But it is a product, and a very successful one. And as you've said, it seems to be growing year on year. And I guess it's a fine balance to strike, ensuring that you don't harm the potential of this event to be great and to create a lot of money for the local economy, and make sure it's a great event for visitors, but also for locals to enjoy it, but also local residents and businesses to feel like they can still get about their locality, their town, and that their enjoyment of where they live isn't completely impeded by this event.
Yeah, Alan, it's a wonderful challenge to have. I think you'll have communities and councils and counties around the country are actively sitting down trying to figure out how do they rejuvenate a festival, or how do they bring in a festival because of the critical importance that it can play. And here we are with one that we're simply trying to ensure that its continued growth is done in a sustained manner and in a managed manner, that it's safe and enjoyable. So it's a wonderful issue to have to deal with, I suppose, in that sense. It is, as you say, it's critical for the economy of, Miltown Malbay, Spanish Point, and the broader West Clare picture. You have, the Tourism Act works, wonderfully well in areas of North Clare and areas of West Clare with the golf and Doonbeg, etc. But something around there, Miltown Malbay in particular, maybe not seeing that consistent tourism season impact. But this week has a critical importance to so many households, businesses in the area. So we owe it to them, I suppose, and we owe it to the festival and its legacy and its culture, I suppose, to ensure that it continues to be, whether we have to call it a product or not, but that it continues to be something that it's etched in the calendar, in the diary of people, 12 months in advance. They're rebooking and saying we want to be back here again next year, and we're going to tell more people about it, and we're going to bring more people. That's the challenge we have to deal with, but it's a great challenge to have.
It is a great challenge to have, Joe, but it is a challenge nonetheless. And what do you see as the biggest challenge in delivering workable traffic solutions for Willie Clancy Week, particularly if the 2026 edition is going to be potentially even bigger than last year?
Yeah, as Shane said it there at the outset, I think this is going to be an incremental piece of improvement where you take on doable sections on a yearly basis, and it should, to my mind, and I know speaking to my colleagues in the council and around Miltown, there's the basis of a need for a master plan from Miltown, evolving from this. But the challenges are obviously traffic, both pedestrian and vehicular. And I think this year, where we all, I think, agreed at the meeting that the one-way system, it was too soon, and there needed to be a lot more planning and consultation in it. So it evolves out into how you manage the public conveniences, additional portaloos, additional staff if you can, and operatives on the ground. And they deserve an awful lot of credit for working in these at festivals as well, because it's not an easy environment to work in. And I think the message should go out to everybody to be respectful, across the board of people who work in these festivals. So parking on the edge of town, alternative parking, looking at the options of reducing the parking along the main street there and widening the capacity for pedestrians, and looking at the locations of the food trucks and trying to make them located in areas that are of least impact on residents, and also have the capacity around them for crowds. It's a whole, I suppose, nexus of elements that needs a lot of voices at the table and a lot of resources. And I think Clare Tourism going forward, one of the highlights in Clare Tourism is to look at festivals. And I think looking at festivals really at the end of the day means putting money into them. I think these solutions aren't something that we're going to reinvent here. There are festivals run all over the country. It's just the level that you're talking about, and that requires investment both of expertise and of money to allow the initiatives to take place, because it all costs money, and the money that a festival like the Willie Clancy brings into County Clare, and as I said before, the PR and the really positive international exposure that we give to our county is very valuable. And I think Fáilte Ireland and others need to come to the table on this. And if you like, in a lot of ways, put their money where their mouth is in putting the necessary infrastructure and supporting it. It isn't going to happen, overnight. It's not going to happen. We have to make incremental improvements on a year-by-year basis, working with the local people at its core, because we always have to remember that this festival grew organically from the memory of Willie Clancy and the legacy of Willie Clancy, and local people make this happen, and it's their businesses.
Yeah,
so
you need them to be on board to make it work.
Yeah.
Shane, one of the more notable suggestions was the idea of extending traffic arrangements to 2 weeks. Is that about easing pressure during peak days or preparing for increased visitor numbers? And how have locals reacted to that idea of a longer traffic management period?
I'm not sure that was necessarily proposed, Alan. I think it's the focus is on, I suppose, the 10-day period there around from the weekend before the summer school starts until the end of the summer school on the following Sunday. Look, at locals, I think in fairness are fully aware of the significance and importance of the festivals. I think they will be on board with the patience and support that's needed for these gradual improvements. Obviously, within that you have farmers and contractors at a busy time of the year that still need to be able to continue their work and get through the town. And I suppose that's the ambition here, is that in tandem with a hugely successful festival, the regular day-to-day life of the Miltown area continues as well. But as Joe said, it's not going to be perfect. But I think the people are understand and have the patience and can see the bigger picture and the importance of the week, so that where there are encroachments to maybe have to change your routine or to work differently for a week. I think people understand that, given the importance it is for their friends, families and neighbours.
And I suppose as long as that is all solidified well in advance of the event, that they know in good time what changes, if any, that they need to make.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the point here, I suppose, to the credit of the local guys on the ground. This isn't something that the authorities, whether it be fire or guards or council, have come and said, well, we need to make changes here. It's an acknowledgement from the ground up that people are aware on the ground that just an enhanced management is required. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here or make any huge changes to the festival itself or to daily life around it, but trying to build on what is hugely successful to ensure it continues to be sustainable for years and years to come, and continues to deliver that economic benefit to the area.
Just finally, Joe, what are the next steps now? When can people expect clarity on the traffic arrangements? What's definitely happening for the 2026 edition, and what's likely to come, as you say, incrementally in the years following it?
There's a lot of work done already, Alan, as we've spoken about here, and there is a draft plan that, again, credit to the local group and the agencies that have been on board with it. They've agreed a broad way forward where this year the two-way traffic will maintain, and we're going to look at limiting car parking on the main street and creating wider footpaths, if you like, along there. So that was brought forward at the meeting last week, which was well attended, and people have been talking about it and having a chat about it, and it's agreed that it is the right way to go from the Gardaí and the Fire and County Council perspectives. So that's, I suppose, a good thing that we have agreed a principle of how to progress this year with a view to looking at more improvements. Monitor what you do this year very closely, see how well it worked, and see if there are further improvements next year. So the local group will be leading consultation on this over the next period on what has been agreed and tweaking it where it needs to be. People will come back and see something they didn't see on the first night. They'll see having considered for a couple of days and maybe come back, and that will have to be looked at and tweaked. The whole thing really is about a coalition of people who are prepared to work together and find solutions. As Shane and all of us have said here, this is a wonderful opportunity with a lot of challenges within it that places all over the country and the world would be giving their eye tooth for. So this is a good news story that we need to make sure it continues to be so. And to do that, it'll require the local community and all of the authorities working hand in hand on a solution-driven approach to it, to make sure we find solutions to where there are problems and monitor that and move on and do it better again the next time.
Well, it is going to be interesting to see whatever changes are made that are implemented, how they work. We do have to leave it there. Thanks, lads, to both of you. The Lisdoonvarna Fine Gael councillor Joe Garrihy there in the Ennistymon. Fianna Fáil councillor Shane Talty with us on Morning Focus.